Investigations into the people involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol are ongoing 1 year after the insurrection. Authorities have arrested more than 725 people for taking part in the attack. The FBI is still searching for more than 350 people believed to have committed violence that day, including more than 250 rioters who assaulted police officers. Joining us now with more on this is CBS News Chief Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues. Jeff, you were at the Capitol grounds on January 6th. I can still remember watching you. What do you remember most about that day?
Oh, gosh, where do I start? I don't want to take up all your time, but I think I could, because there is just so many, there's so many awful memories of what was happening that day. And I could just sum it up by saying, I remember reporting from the west lawn of the Capitol, and behind me you could see people climbing the walls. And I think numerous times I was just thinking, I cannot believe this is happening. I can't believe I'm standing here on the west lawn of the Capitol, and behind me you see all these people trying to climb the walls and then trying to breach the Capitol doors. I mean, it was chaos. And if you look at those pictures, you can see it. Now, what I couldn't see down below where I was the lack of humanity. You know, how brutal the mob of people attacking police officers was, and as I've reported on this scene, the one image that just sticks with me and will stick with me forever is the image of the crowd beating the officer with the flagpole and the flag still attached to it. So desecrating that American flag in that way and beating up another human being in that way. That's the thing that will stick with me forever, was just what I saw in people's eyes. And it really started at that rally that preceded the attack on the Capitol. At first, when we arrived on the scene, I looked across the crowd at the ellipse, and I saw all these American flags, and I saw that these people were turning out. They were called there by the president. And I thought, as an American, this is great that people are involved this way, and they are, demonstrating in this way. And in fact, I remember talking to members of a Michigan militia who told me, yeah, we're not like those other militias. And in fact, they asked us for help because they had an elderly woman in their group, and she was cold, and they asked if she could sit in the truck, and we obliged. We allowed her to sit there, and I was talking to these men mostly, and they were in fatigues, and they said, yeah, we're not like other militias, we're peaceful, and they were critical of the media, but still we were talking, we were discussing. There was that friendly interaction there. We were joking a little. And then, once these speeches got underway, you had Rudy Giuliani who said, trial by combat. And I was in my live truck at that time, and I barely heard that phrase. And then I asked one of my colleagues in the truck with me, and I said, what did he just say? And he said, trial by combat is what my colleague repeated to me. And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. All right, well, maybe that's just Rudy Giuliani being Rudy Giuliani. And then the president took the podium, and then after that, people started leaving. And I was wondering, well, why are people leaving? Maybe they feel like they've heard this speech before. Again, I got out of the truck and started interviewing people. And then I got back in the truck, and then all of a sudden I noticed some guy beating on the front of our truck. And it wasn't as if he was doing it with his fist. He was doing it with a stick. I don't know where he got that stick from, but he was doing it with a stick. And it's the kind of stick that could have killed someone. And he kept banging on the truck. And I thought, and this is what I typically do when I get in situations like that, you think you can de-escalate. Hey, let me just go out there and talk to this guy and see what he wants. But there was no de-escalating with that guy. I looked at his eyes, and I saw someone who wanted to hurt us. I don't know if he was seeing me or if he was just seeing the media, and it looked like he wanted to hurt us. And I had a producer with me who was outside the truck, and I told her, get in the truck now. You know, so it was a really weird development, how all of a sudden after those speeches, it was like somebody flipped a switch. And people got this look in their eyes. And then I made it up to the Capitol, and I saw that look there. It was just, hey, we're going to climb these walls. We're going to breach this Capitol. And then I heard people saying, hey, police officers, we're with you. And I thought, you know, that's odd. Why would they say that? And why would they think that these officers would sort of allow them to just enter because, you know, there is this perception that the people in that crowd supported police officers? Well, you know, we didn't see that day. Certainly, they were pounding on police officers who were overrun. They were overrun.
Unreal. I mean, it's still hard just to watch the video, and listening to you replay it is terrifying to listen to the details. I want to ask you one last thing before we let you go. Some critics believe former President Donald Trump should be criminally charged for inciting the riots. Attorney General Merrick Garland made it clear yesterday that people did not need to be at the Capitol to be charged. Why do you think President Trump wasn't charged over the last year?
Well, you know, if you look at this through a law enforcement lens, what do you expect the Department of Justice to do? What do you expect the Attorney General to say? This is, you know, former President Trump is no ordinary Joe. This is a former president. And we have a tradition in this country where we don't indict or go after former presidents. However, these are unusual times. And I think people see the lead up to this rally. They see the lead up to January 6th last year. And you know what President Trump was saying. You know what he was tweeting. In fact, you know what he continues to tweet. And so there are a lot of people who feel like, hey, you know, did he was there some sort of conspiracy? Did he incite this kind of behavior? And should he face charges? And that's a very good question. And that is the question that this Department of Justice is going to have to answer at some point. Because you know this report from this House Select Committee is coming. It probably won't, well, that'll probably come before the midterms. The prosecution, if there is one, would come after that. But even still, you're going to have a lot of people, based on what they hear in this Select Committee report and elsewhere, and some of the evidence in terms of how they methodically gather some of the information that they need in terms of what was going on, not necessarily that day on January 6th, but what led up to that. Who was funding this effort? Who was, you know, encouraging people to come? So these are all things that these prosecutors are going to look at. Now, the question is, will they actually take it to the next step? And who could be prosecuted from the president's inner circle, the former president's inner circle? We'll have to see where this goes.
All right, Jeff Pegues, thank you so much for your perspective and reliving that terrifying day. Thank you.